Welcome back to Manufacturing Matters Jackson, the first and only television show and podcast dedicated to celebrating and supporting the manufacturing industry of Jackson County, Michigan. My name is Keith Gillenwater, and I'm the President and CEO of Accelerate Jackson County.
And I'm Olivia Steele, Executive Director of JAMA.
Awesome. Olivia, what has been going on in the world of JAMA?
Training. But the last couple of weeks, it's been golf outing. So JAMA's golf outing is August 24th.
Okay.
And we are almost sold out. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Where do people find out more about your golf outing if they want to try to get that last registration spot?
JacksonJAMA.org. Scroll down to the bottom of that homepage and click on the golf outing that's listed under the events.
Awesome. Well, so I have organized a number of golf outings. I used to be a chamber director in Indiana before I came here. Speaking of chamber directors, we can kind of get into that a lot deeper later this episode. But my question for you is, do you keep it like traditional golf outing, or do you do fun games and things like that?
So last year, Kelly and Katie from the ShopRat Foundation came out and did a game as for the AMTC. So trying to get some extra funding for the building. But other than that, it's really just a traditional golf outing. We do have a couple of sponsors that want to have tables, and sometimes they'll have games and such. So we'll have a couple of those this year, and we're still trying to figure out whether or not we're going to do one for AMTC campaign.
Yeah. So my experience has been the games I think are fun because I'm a hack golfer at best. And the traditional people who take it very serious do not like air cannons and things like that. And so it's always it's a mixed bag no matter what you do. So.
Well, and if we sell out, then having those games makes the day longer. So we try to limit how many of those extra things we do, because otherwise we'll be there all night long.
Well, you should never have me organize your golf outing then. So.
Well, what's going on at Accelerate Jackson?
You know, we've got a lot going on right now. I mean, I think I've said this the last couple of months as we've recorded these shows, but like the amount of work that we're doing right now and that keeps coming across our table has been pretty tremendous, right? And so that's great. We're right now we're sitting on a press release with the state for a new business to Jackson County that does some cool and exciting tech things, right? And so I think that's really exciting for us. Since we recorded last, I've had quite a bit of travel as well, including some international travel to go and talk to a company that has or is making an investment here in Jackson County. And so that was fun. That's also exhausting, right? Upcoming event, October 15th at American One Event Center. We always partner with the Chamber of Commerce, Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, on the Economic Summit. And so more details will be coming on that as well. So it's a great time. We've got our FAM tour coming up this fall with site consultants that we bring in to really showcase what Jackson County has to offer, to show that there's an opportunity for businesses and that kind of thing here. And so it's a lot on our plate, and we're excited about it.
Awesome. So, yeah, everybody's busy.
Yeah. You want to maybe talk about what we've got on the show today?
Yeah. So we'll have Ryan from the Jackson County Chamber and Misty from Michigan Works Southeast.
Yeah. I'm excited about them, and so we've had Michigan Works on our last year on our podcast only before, and we had Ryan, but we didn't get to talk about some of the exciting things. I think when Ryan was on last year, I think we were talking about the
ESTA,
yes. I couldn't remember the term. I was just thinking the Sick Time Act. And so it would be exciting to be able to dive into all the exciting things that we're collectively working on. So stay tuned, and after the break, we'll have Ryan Tarrant from Jackson County Chamber and Experience Jackson and Misty Shulters from Michigan Works Southeast joining us. Welcome back to Manufacturing Matters Jackson. We're joined today by Ryan Tarrant, President and CEO of Experience Jackson and the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, and Misty Shulters, Deputy Director of Michigan Works Southeast. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So can we maybe start by just having you tell us a little bit about EJ and the Chamber and Michigan Works Southeast?
Sure. For us, Experience Jackson is the destination marketing organization for all of Jackson County. And so we've transitioned from, what you normally think of as a destination marketing organization or a convention and visitors bureau that puts up billboards and does those things and markets a community, and have really invested pretty heavily on destination development. And so you're seeing things like there's an RFP out right now for trail building at Ella Sharp Park. And, those are the types of infrastructure that we can invest in because it not only brings visitors in, but it also improves the quality of life for our residents and helps with that talent attraction piece. On the chamber side, we obviously have sort of led Drive Jackson, the county's 20-year vision plan, and have started the implementation phase. But also do traditional chamber things like we partner with Keith and Accelerate Jackson County on our annual economic summit, a number of other kind of educational and higher level events, and then obviously small business supports and encouraging folks to go shop local.
Awesome.
Great. Yeah. So Michigan Works Southeast, we are a 5-county region. We cover Washtenaw, Hillsdale, Lenawee, Livingston, and of course Jackson County, providing employment and training services to both career seekers and employers, as well as providing adult education services in 3 of our 5 counties. So we work with individuals on what their employment and training goals are, maybe tuition assistance, with our employers, incumbent training, registered apprenticeship training, and also just helping them with talent recruitment and all that goes into ensuring they have a strong pipeline.
Awesome.
Yeah. So can you tell us maybe a little bit about some of the grant funding available for businesses?
Absolutely. And so we are state and federally funded, and sometimes we have the opportunity to be locally funded through foundation grants. And so with our employer partners, we have what is called incumbent worker training dollars that helps upskill folks that perhaps they've started within the business, they're showing some promise of being someone that they want to invest in and they want to learn. And so these dollars can help offset the extraordinary costs of upskilling that individual so they can continue to be not only competitive themselves, but help the business be competitive in this market. Additionally, we have what's called on-the-job training. And so for individuals that perhaps have all of those soft skills, right? They know how to show up, they can work in a team, they have a great attitude, but they need additional technical skill training. On-the-job training can help offset the costs of onboarding that individual through their initial training phase. And so these dollars help the company continue to grow their workforce, continue to help the community, individuals gain work skills, and just help thrive in the community.
Awesome. So some of your funding comes from the state, right? So you get some federal funding as well. How has that been trending?
Well, in the last couple years, it has been trending downward for us. It is causing us to prioritize training requests a little differently than we had in the past. Specifically, Going Pro Talent Fund, that grant is a state-ran program. We are going into our 12th year in 2027. Those dollars in the last 3 years have gone from what was funded at $55 million, although we had $110 million statewide in asks. So it wasn't even supporting about 50% of what was the need, has gone from 55 down to the recent budget for 27 approved $14.5 million statewide. So that's a significant reduction that we are going to have to rely on our partners and other resources and really prioritize those trainings to ensure that we're still helping businesses be competitive and our career seekers and those that are employed stay competitive as well.
That's frustrating from an economic development standpoint, right? It's frustrating from a workforce standpoint, from what Olivia and I spend a lot of time talking about when we go out and meet with companies. It's got to be frustrating for you as well on the advocacy side, to see these hallmark programs that get held up as shining examples when we are out of state talking to site consultants, to see that funding continuing to track downwards.
Yeah, I mean, and it's across the board in a lot of these really successful programs. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago when we were at that $55 million, and we knew there was $110 million in asks, and we're part of a statewide coalition of chambers, and across the state, we're all advocating for them to fund that at $110 million. Yeah. So to keep cutting it and getting down to 10% of what the asks are, for a program that's wildly successful. I mean, it's no different than us with Pure Michigan. I mean, some of these partnerships that we have that we're able to do with Pure Michigan, because they come in with some of that funding, they've been cut by a third, from 35 million to 11 million. I mean, you're talking about, the probably most successful tourism campaign in history. So,
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, the businesses see it, we hear about it, we continue to advocate for it, and I know our partners around the state are doing the same. But the budget this year was significantly smaller than it was last year. I mean, they cut $8 billion out of the budget. So.
Well, let's switch to maybe something a little more exciting and talk
something
about
something
Drive.
uplifting.
Yeah, let's talk about Drive Jackson. All of our organizations are involved in that, and the chamber's kind of leading that. So you want to talk about it?
Sure. So like we talked about earlier, that's the county's 20-year vision plan, sort of touches all things Jackson. Drive Jackson came out of the people of Jackson County. There were 1,300 individuals who engaged in this process through pop-ups, through online surveys. They gave us almost 6,000 kind of data points that we could look at. And so out of that came these 4 goal areas and 54 different strategies that touch workforce and education, housing and economic development, the quality of life that we have here, and then public health and safety. And so, we created the Vision Council. Keith serves on that with me, and that's really where we bring all the funders together in the community and sort of align what those giving strategies look like along with Drive Jackson, so that we're constantly moving it forward and aligning things in the community and always saying what's next, versus just kind of being happy with what we have today. And so, we're seeing things move much more quickly now. I mean, you look at the initiatives that have come out of this that are tied back to these strategies with RX Kids, which is, where expectant mothers are given a cash payment, and then for the first 6 months of a baby's life, they get $500. Grow Jackson's capital campaign to move out into the armory and bring the farmers market and put a beer garden and have a patio, and how quickly that all came together from, sort of the end of January to now. And then we're talking workforce and talent attraction. I mean, the talent attraction retention program that we've all partnered on with Build in Jackson, which is partnering with the city for 100 homes. And so we're targeting 18 to 35-year-olds. We've almost filled our cohort of 10. We have 9 approved people. Some of them are from places like Clarkston, Tennessee, North Carolina. These are people who are moving into Jackson, into the city, which, just gained population for the first time in 75 years last year. And so, Jackson's really on the upswing, I think, in terms of that talent attraction and that quality of life that we're seeing.
I think, I'm glad you brought up Building Jackson. Obviously, that's something that we've all been a part on. And, I think our audience should know that the 4 of us, and there's a handful of other organizations, we spend an inordinate amount of time together, right?
We really do.
Which is great, though, right? Because it means all of these entities are actually working together, that we're actually trying to do things, right? We all know what our lane is on that. And I think that's what's been awesome about since I've moved to Jackson County, to kind of move into that environment. And I'd like to think I had a small piece of putting that together. I know Ryan, obviously Olivia, and Michigan Works and Misty's team. And so I think that's amazing, right? One of the things about building Jackson, I also wanted to say I was in New York last week talking to site consultants, and I had our Building Jackson flyer there. And when I hand over my folder and I just go through a couple of the pieces in there, and people say, "Oh, you were given $50,000-$60,000 of down payment assistance in the city on a home," and it's just people get gobsmacked by that, right? It's crazy, and so I think it's amazing, and it's just a testament to some of these things we're able to build here in the community.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at they surveyed young people in that 18 to 35-year-old range, and 70% of them say they would look at moving to a new community if there was down payment assistance tied to it, which is why we're sort of seeing this, right? I mean, and we're sweetening the pot, obviously. We're offering a bike or a kayak to them once they're approved. We've got some wraparound services. I know that trailing spouse from Misty's jumped in and said, "Hey, we'll help if there's a trailing spouse who's looking for a job." And just kind of on through that first year to really make sure that they don't just move here, but they stick.
Well, our audience primarily, I mean, where manufacturing matters, right? We're talking, celebrating manufacturing, supporting manufacturing. So, I mean, this is a type of program that our manufacturers can take advantage of, right? When they're trying to recruit a new employee to try to get them to build and get those roots into the city because they're less likely to leave, right?
Yeah. And they're not all people with a college degree. I mean, some of them are skilled trades. And blue collar, and that's exactly what we want here, is that diverse mix of workforce for our employers.
And they want a place to be able to call home, right? And so some of this Build at Jackson is bringing in all of those specialties that these organizations offer and creating that comprehensive package that is really attractive to somebody coming into the community.
Second most generous in the country.
Ooh, nice.
Awesome. Wow.
I didn't know that
That's
stat.
awesome. Me neither.
Yeah. Only New York City has a larger down payment assistance
Get
program.
out of here. That's awesome.
It's in New York.
And your money doesn't go as far in New York City. Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Spent $45 on a Caesar salad last week.
Oh my
So
goodness.
You're right.
Yes.
Wow. Well, can we talk a little bit about maybe what the workforce committee for Drive Jackson is working on?
Yeah, so that's one that all four of us serve on, and this gets back to those partnerships we were talking about, right? So Jackson College a couple of years ago applied for and received a grant for $1 million to drive enrollments into Jackson College for Reconnect. And out of this, we're a sub-recipient of this grant to develop a workforce development collaborative. We engaged with Public Policy Associates, did an environmental scan of our various credentials and workforce agencies, and with all of the great workforce agencies that we have here doing work in Jackson County, we kind of thought, okay, there's got to be some redundancy here, right? People doing the same thing, and it wasn't at all that there was redundancy. It's that I think people weren't always aligned on okay, Jackson College does this, and JAMA does this, and Michigan Works does this. And so, we've brought that entire group together under one collaborative to start talking about not only how do we drive enrollments to Jackson College and raise our educational attainment, because in Jackson County we're at 33.4% who have a degree and associates or above, but also how do we get more credentials? And how do we work with ShopRat and make sure that we're creating that pipeline of talent for our manufacturers direct from K-12 into the manufacturing community, so that long term they continue to have that workforce that they need available to them.
And I think one of the key aspects of this group too is going to be that exposure to career opportunities at a young age and developing that interest. We could all sit here and think about our first probably couple jobs, right? And they are not what we're currently doing now, right? I mean, I was a can girl back at Meijer in the day when these machines were not automatically weighted, so you can only imagine the things people put in plastic bottles.
I learned everything I needed to know at a family Polish restaurant waiting tables.
Yes, right? And so having the opportunity to explore in a hands-on and talk to folks that are in the industry and really learn the type of interests that align with the careers and the type of of skill set that they need, and then connect with training facilities like JAMA or Jackson College, where they can then get on that pathway. Michigan Works coming in and helping them with their tuition assistance, potentially barriers like transportation, or maybe they need a hard hat and steel boots and they don't have the funding for that. Like those that are eligible can jump in. And so we just bring what we all specialize in together. We're all working towards workforce development, right? Helping our manufacturers, helping our healthcare facilities, all of those different businesses in Jackson. And when we come together with our unique approach, I mean, it's for me, it's exciting. So
yeah, and I think you look at it. We talked about Build in Jackson, and that's the immediate talent attraction. Let's bring people in, and then we've got the collaborative that's thinking in the longer term, right? And then you start looking at having conversations about third grade reading levels in Jackson County, and raising that educational attainment, because that's the really long term. Is what are these kids doing as they get to 8th grade, as they get to 12th grade, to be able to make sure that they reach that point where they're reading to learn versus learning to read.
yeah.
What,
Point.
oh, go ahead.
Nope.
So, again, when we kind of talk about some of our audiences for trying to celebrate manufacturing, right? And I think about Build in Jackson. Obviously, we were talking about the Build in Jackson program, but thinking about Drive in Jackson, Drive Jackson. What in that would resonate with our manufacturers? The things that come to mind for me, we've kind of taken the lead on Goal C things, right, around economic development. But what do you think are the low-hanging fruit opportunities for that? And then where do you see might really resonate with our manufacturing community?
Well, I'll give you a great example. I mean, I use this all the time, is Lomar is a manufacturer.
A previous guest, maybe in March, I think.
Okay.
Maybe?
Yeah, great people. So they asked Lexi Milliken, our community growth fellow, to come out, and once a month they do an all-employee meeting, and Lexi presented Drive Jackson to all of their employees. Well, they invited in their superintendent. After that meeting, they continued those conversations with the superintendent, brought in principals, and what they learned was Hanover Horton Schools doesn't have a tech hub for their students. And so they're sort of leading the charge to help raise the dollars for the tech hub to open at Hanover Horton Schools. Fast forward, I had another conversation with them. They're now starting housing conversations with the village and the township about, workforce housing. How do they make sure that their employees have access to that? We're talking to them about developing a pilot project where we started to hear people say, well, that company may not hire somebody from Jackson, or it's really hard to get hired in Jackson. And so I think there's a little bit of a disconnect. We've talked about that educational piece and those certificates, and what if instead of an outright rejection, we were able to just click a button in our CRM and not only send them that, sorry, we moved in another direction, but here's why you didn't get selected, you don't have these credentials, and then have our workforce agencies or JAMA or JC actually reach out to them and say, you're 26, you qualify for free college tuition, or we offer this certification program for this job you applied for and didn't get, come down and let's help you get there. And so it helps with that disconnect of why people aren't getting hired, and then also moves them forward into a higher paying career.
Yeah, so that was one of my ideas many moons ago, when I was talking to an employer, and I was like, but wait a minute, you're getting all of these resumes and applications. Why can't you send them off to us? Oh, we can't do that, but there's ways around that. If you're just communicating and talking to the applicant to say,
We've got
hey,
to
we're going to share this with, XYZ so that we can get you opportunities in order to potentially get a job in the future. So I'm really excited about that conversation.
We should follow that conversation up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to learn about that. I was excited to have you guys both come in. I mean, again, just the amount of times that we get together and have these conversations, the number of emails that we shoot back and forth, I think is exciting. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So if you'd like to hear more about this conversation and continue it on, we'll be switching to our Manufacturing Matters Jackson podcast in just a moment. Thank you.